been suffering turbulent times financially speaking, and the National Assembly, through the Transport Committee, gave an advisory that the national carrier should be nationalized. So that has been in process. It gave an okay for that, and we are going to be looking at that. So looking at that, we are joined by Honorable Kosing, who is the chair of the Transport Committee in the National Assembly. He is also the Member of Parliament for Pokot South. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, Mike, and thank you for having me in your show.
For the benefit of all of us, just to understand, what does it mean to nationalize the national carrier, Kenya Airways?
Mike and Kenyans, nationalization is making Kenya Airways 100% GOK, or government. At the moment, it's private. It's private. So we need to make it 100% public or government. And I think the biggest reason is why are we making it 100%? We are making it 100% national because the model upon which we took KQ by force, it was, of course, public before, but we were forced by some of these called forced ideologies called structural adjustment program, if you might, Kenyans recall, when we were being forced by some outsiders. So we took our national carrier to private. And taking it private means what? Means therefore that it was not going to receive any government subsidy. And it is the worst model of running a national airliner anywhere in the world. And that is why it has been making losses.
All right, and when you say it is the worst, what are we using that as a measure? Because we have certain airlines that have run with the same model and have done that successfully.
I want you to tell me which one of these, because if you look at the giants, the admiration of Kenyans traveling, if you look at Emirates, that is what everybody would like to travel in or on when they're going to see their families or travel. If you look at the Qataris, if you look at Moroccans, if you look at closer home, Ethiopian, if you look at now the upcoming, the growing Rwandese, if you ask a Kenyan who wants to travel within Africa, they will choose Rwandese or they will choose Ethiopian. They will not choose Kenya Airways. And those that I'm talking about are national carriers, 100% GOK. Right. And therefore, they receive certain subsidies. And therefore, their air tickets are cheaper than the private Kenya Airways, which is dying.
All right.
And an example of that is South African. Seychelles.
But we've also had national, 100% national carriers that have failed. So one might argue that our challenge is not whether it's national or private, it's a question of management.
Mike, let me tell you, management is about 5%, and those are administrative. And those does not require parliamentary intervention or policy intervention. It just requires administrative. Let me tell you, KQ is about structural, KQ is about model. The moment we'll change this model, I'll give like between 3 and 6 years, and you will see KQ, the real KQ. And the examples are existing. The best examples are existing, which I've just mentioned.
All right. One of the recommendations that was given in the report was that Kenya would set up an aviation holding company. Has this been done? And maybe just map for us out how this is going to help and how it works out.
Number one, Mike, is that yes, that recommendation was done by executive and was approved by the cabinet. And what we called in our report holding company. Executive called it corporation. So it's just about the same thing. Number two, that corporation is holding 3 entities. We had proposed in our report 4 of them. Executive thought that then 3 would be good, which is Kenya Airways, which is 100% government, Kenya Airports Authority, which is 100% GOK, and then Investment Corporation, again, which is also 100% GOK. We had divided KAA into 2. JKIA was to be a parastatal, Then KA should take care of the other aerodromes. Executive, in their own wisdom, which my committee agreed, was that we cannot divide JKIA from KA because of liabilities and something like that. That will take a longer time. So pretty much, Mike, it is exactly the replica of the parliamentary report. But allow me, Mike, to address some certain issues which have been raised by Kenyans through this debate and public participation. Number one, they're asking is whether KQ is merging KAA. I would like to say this, Mike. Let Kenyans understand that it is not a merger. And if you want to know something, whether it's a merger or not a merger, then you look at the functions. You look at share capital. You also look at the staff. And in this, Mike, I want to refer you and the people of Kenya, clause 24 and 25 of the bill, and clause 26, clause 27 and clause 28 of the bill. The functions of Kenya Airways are completely separate from the functions of KAA. Kenya Airports Authority remains manager of the airstrips and the airport itself. There's no way Kenya Airways will participate in running of the airport because the functions are completely different.
All right,
and that is that you look at that one in close.
Maybe just so that we understand that fully, Mheshimiwa, the question that many Kenyans would wonder is that as much as they're not a merger, the fact that they're under one holding company, what does that mean for the other competitors of Kenya Airways, given that they are the ones that manage the airspace?
But what's the problem of other competitors? Other competitors are supposed to enjoy equal rights in terms of landing and taking over from the airstrips and airports. That is not in any conflict at all. And take it an example also, Mike, and tell the people of Kenya, what happens in Emirates? What happens in Bole International Airport in Ethiopia? What happens in Rwanda? So why is it unique? There's nothing. There's no conflict at all.
Okay, carry on.
At all. That's politics.
So there are those who also feel that the bill was rushed and was taken in a hurry. Is that something you'd agree with, or do you feel that enough time was given for the bill to be thought out and planned end to end?
Let me tell you, Mike, and that's a very good question, and I thank you, brother. Of course, the answer to that is it was not rushed. Why? Because Kenyans will remember, and also you, Mike, I've also been to your studio explaining this, that we started in October of 2018, when this idea was PIIP, Privately Investment Proposal, by Kenya Airways to KA. That was really a merger. Because if you look at the staff, then they were being proposed that the KA staff will move to KQ. That was October in 2018. That is when this idea and the issue came to my committee as inquiry. Mike, so look at 2018, October, and now 2020, we are going to October. How long is that? That is 2 years.
That's 2 years. All right.
Is that rushed? It's not.
All right, and of course we do know that this has been going on for a while, but maybe just explain to us, what is the bill exactly attempting to cure? Because, like I mentioned earlier, there are those who feel that the problem KQ has had is one of management or mismanagement, if you like. So what exactly is the bill attempting to cure?
That is also another very good question, Mike. And I think number one is the bill is trying to revive our aviation as a country. It is attempting to make Nairobi a hub again. And for people to understand that, Mike, allow me to go back and tell Kenyans the basics about the model we are operating in. There are only two models in the world.
Right.
The model is that national airliner is 100% government, and the airport is 100% government, and they work together. In one purpose, not cross-purpose, but together. Same objective, to promote the countries in terms of aviation sector. That is one model, and the most successful one in the world. The one that is failing in the world is private national carrier 100% government airport, working at cross purposes, almost taking each other to court. That is the model we are working in Nairobi. That is the model they're working in Johannesburg. That is why South African airline is dying like our KQ. The problem with that, Mike, is this, that private airliner is driven by profits, not the promotion of the country, not evacuation, not bringing people in the country, but driven by profit. And when they are driven by profits, the air tickets skyrocket. And when the air tickets skyrocket, what happens? It becomes less attractive to the customers. And that is why KQ has been unattractive to customers, and people have been choosing other countries. They have been choosing Ethiopia and Rwanda. And that's why we have lost our market to Ethiopia and lost our market to Rwanda. And if we continue doing nothing, Mike, Kenya Airways will die, and Jomo Kenyatta International Airport will die as well.
All right.
And therefore, 10,000 staff, 10,000 people who are employed in the aviation will have to sadly go home. This is a lifeline for them. This bill is a lifeline for Nairobi as an aviation hub, so that, Mike, you know what? So that we maintain the businesses we have in Nairobi, international businesses.
Okay, and one of the
so
things,
that we
of course,
maintain the international offices like UN being in Nairobi. It's dependent on the transport. Easy, people coming to Nairobi. Without that, we might lose, and our country will lose.
And of course, there would be adverse effects if Kenya Airways continues to go down. Now, one of the things that we know that we have suffered as a country and as Kenya Airways is the loss of many of the staff to other airlines for obvious reasons. Maybe pay has been an issue. How is this going to be recovered so that we have our engineers, for example, who many are right now working for other airlines, recovered and working back home?
You know, Mike, when every human being is looking for security. So when you analyze KQ as dying, then people will have to bolt out. And leave alone even the staff bolting out. The biggest danger is businesses in Nairobi will bolt out. International offices in Nairobi will bolt out. Our rating internationally will come down. It will plummet. We will lose businesses to other countries in the world. Is that what we want? And in fact, the worst, Mike, is this. If you want to travel to Europe, you have first of all to go to Ethiopia, eat in Ethiopia so that they can recover their money, or travel to Rwanda, eat in Rwanda, stay in the airport for 4 hours or 5 hours because they want to recover their money. And then after that, they can now take you to Europe. Is that what we want, Mike? Really?
Not at all.
We don't want that one.
All right, timelines.
Not at all. And that is why I'm saying, and I'm seeking to Kenyans, support my committee, support Parliament in approval of this bill. This bill is our country going forward.
All right. Give us timelines. Should this bill go through and all factors remaining constant, when do you see Kenya Airways regaining its former Pride of Africa? It was once known as a Pride of Africa, which of course is not the case right now. Timelines.
It's gonna be. Give it between 3 and 5 years. Quisha.
3 to 5 years. And in that 3 to 5 years, what should Kenyans look at, in terms of having that as a carrier? In terms of revenue, what are we looking at in terms of Kenya Airways bringing in as revenue?
You know, Mike, that is where we go wrong. When we begin talking about revenue, what we are trying to say is that then, because airlines get their revenue from air tickets, what you are saying is that take your ticket to become 1 million from here to for example, Mombasa, which is unrealistic. So in transport sector, having experience of now 3 years, if we are driven by profits, we will lose. We will lose. So we should be driven by connectivity. How many people come to Nairobi to do business? We want to ask KQ. Now they are doing, before COVID-19, they were doing about 4-5 million a year. Bola Airport are planning to do 20 million a year. So if you compare Nairobi about 7 million a year and Bola International Airport of more than 20 million a year, we're losing. And therefore, in transport sector, we consider what we call multiply effect. Imagine as KQ as it is, and it was dying before COVID-19, it was contributing more than 100 billion to our economy. That is the multiply effect. So in transport, we should be looking at the multiply effect. We should not be looking at getting our revenues and making money from what we call primary installations, like now buying the aircraft. It's just like, Mike, if we build a road from here to Mombasa, then you ask, how much is this road earning us directly? We go wrong.
We go wrong. All right.
We go wrong.
And
we go wrong. We should be asking ourselves, is it making business easy? Are people traveling easy? Then concentrate on making your money from those people using that installation.
All right. So
that's what's happening in the world.
Right. So
why not Nairobi?
So nationalization basically means that the airline is going to be carried, as it were, by the coffers, by the taxpayer. Given that Treasury is already struggling with the debts that we have, how do you see this playing out? And do you feel that the Kenyan taxpayer really can bear that burden?
There's no burden, Mike. It's just, that's what I'm saying. I think we are getting a wrong thinking of transport installations across the world. Let me tell you, Mike, if you go to London, where I have been myself, when I was in school in London, and in Bradford and London, I was traveling, there is public transport. They have shuttles, they have buses, they have trains, call them tram and anything, and those are public. So when you make public and transport installations profit-making, you kill a country. And I'm seeing your mentality, Mike, is still the same, and to most Kenyans. Government must be able to provide Kenyans free to travel or affordable to travel so that they can make business and make money from that. But having said that, the reason we are doing nationalization is so that we as a country can be able to look at how to cushion Kenya Airways in terms of taxes. We cannot cushion at the moment because it's private. If we cushion now, then we are making private people earn from ourselves. And that's why we are saying reasonably, let's make it national. Let's make it 100% GOK. Then we can be able to cushion, and it will fight. And it will actually now bring back Nairobi. Nairobi was designed, Mike, it was designed by our great-grandfathers to become a financial hub for Africa. And that is why we have Jomo Kenyatta International Conference Center. That's where I am. That is when you can now see hotels in Nairobi. You can see banking in Nairobi. You can see telecom in Nairobi. So efficient. You can see fiber optic, so efficient in Nairobi. Why? Because our great-grandfathers and the leaders of this country thought that Nairobi should be a financial hub. Without Jomo Kenyatta, Mike, we will lose that objective.
All right.
And Kenya will crumble.
All right.
We cannot allow that.
Okay. Honorable Kosing, as we wind up, you've asked for support of Kenyans for nationalization of the national carrier. What promise are you making to Kenyans should this go through?
I'm telling you, promise number one, Kenya Airways will have what we call affordable air tickets. Going all over the world, you will have really affordable air tickets. Number one. Number two, 10,000 employees, direct employees of the aviation, will get their jobs. And before I conclude, Mike, allow me to say this point, which Kenyans have been, some of the naysayers have been using to say that this is a shortcut way of making public pay for what we call Kenya Airways lenders, and this includes the banks. I want to tell those people who are thinking like that it is not true. Why, Mike? It is not true because, and of course, first of all, people know that the banks or Kenya Airways own about like 25 billion, between 25 billion and 30 billion from the banks, and about 50 billion from what we call Exim Bank of America. And that comes to about like 75 billion. And that is the worry, and that is the concern Kenyans are raising when I'm prosecuting this bill and this discussion. And they're saying, Chairman, is it a shortcut to pay those lenders? Is it a very easy way? Is it easy money that then after we nationalize, that Treasury will just dish money to these lenders? And I want to say this, Mike, that it is not true, because there was a sessional paper in 2017 that government of Kenya, through Parliament, and I think people forget very easily, through Parliament, that we offered what we call sovereign guarantee to those lenders. And therefore, Mike, they are very safe. In fact, the shortcut of making them earn their money is to kill KQ today. If we kill KQ today or allow this bill to die, then within a week or within a month, they will go to Treasury and just cash in their checks. And therefore, that is a shortcut of making these people earn their money. But this bill, you know what's going to happen? They are going to lose. How are they going to lose? Because, Mike, the credit, the debt of about like 75 billion Kenyan shillings that Kenya Airways owe, and we approved as Parliament, is going to be structured. And therefore, the earliest they're going to get the money is between 10 and 15 years to come. So Kenyans should not be misled that this is a shortcut of giving people just free money. There's no free money. They are already secured. They have no problem. That's why they are not even talking. So, Mike, let the people of Kenya understand what we are going through. We are going through a fundamental moment in our country. Let us seize this history and bring back our country by making our airspace and aviation strong. Then people can come back to our country. And we make business and we make money. Mike?
All right, thank you, Honorable Kosing, for joining us this morning and just giving us, info on nationalization of the national carrier, Kenya Airways. And, well, that's where we're going to wind up that part of this interview. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is now just about 3 minutes to 8 o'clock right here on Morning Express. We take a break, but do stay with us. When we come back, we're also going to be looking at that advice to the president by the Chief Justice David Maraga on dissolving Parliament for not achieving the two-third gender bill. We'll be getting legal minds and possibly weighing in on the way forward. So do stay with us. We take a break.